On News Hour tonight, Kaduna residents protest takeover of ancestral land. Bandits set mosque ablaze in Zamfara reprisal attack. Military uncovers ISWA plans to set up bases in Plateau and Bauchi. Military leader Oligi wins Gabon's presidential election. Good evening and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I am Dorcas Yakubuzola. We begin the news in Kaduna State, where tensions are rising in Liman Ibadan village, Soba local government area of Kaduna State, as concerned residents call on the state government to address an ongoing land dispute that threatens their livelihoods. The villagers, mostly peasant farmers, staged a peaceful protest to voice their concerns over attempts to seize the farmland which has been passed down through generations. Trust TV's Bella Musa has more.
The protesters argue that the farmland in question has been a cornerstone of the community's heritage for decades. Preserved and cultivated by their ancestors, local farmers who rely on the land for their livelihood warn that losing this land would leave them without a means to support their families. One community member shared that there are consequences of losing the land, explaining that it would deprive them of their only source of livelihood. Our forefathers have played a key role in ensuring food security and contributing to the development of Kaduna State and Nigeria at large. Now, we are hearing that our farmland has been allocated to some individuals. It is heartbreaking. Farmers painted a grim picture of how the farming community would be affected if their farmland was taken from them, emphasizing the devastating impact on their daily lives. We are 6 brothers in our family, and we all depend on a single farmland to survive. I have 9 children, and my siblings have children too. Thankfully, we have been living here without any security threats.
All of us, we are farmers. We can't any kind of the business without farming.
What are your appeals to the government now?
So we want it help us and help us with just done. Obasani is good governance.
We are not civil servants, and most of us never had the chance to go to school. Farming is all we know. If the land is taken from us, we have nothing left to fall back on. The residents have now appealed to the state government for intervention, urging it to resolve the issue in favor of the larger farming community who rely solely on this land. They also encourage calm among residents, assuring them that steps are being taken to ensure a peaceful and fair resolution of the dispute. Bella Musa, Trust TV News Kaduna.
In our security matters, suspected bandits have set fire to a Jumaat mosque, a primary healthcare center, and at least 10 homes in Biabiki village, Safi local government area of Zamfara State in what appears to be a reprisal attack. The assault, which took place around 8 p.m. on Saturday, is believed to have been carried out by loyalists to notorious bandit leader Adamu Aliru. Local sources link the incident to the recent killing of Aliru's younger brother Isuhu Yelu and his son during a failed ambush on security forces in the Kita area nearly 3 weeks ago. Eyewitnesses said the attackers stormed the village, set multiple structures ablaze, and left without causing casualties or making any abductions. Earlier that day, the same group was reported to have attacked nearby Algeru village, also setting homes on fire in what appears to be a coordinated operation. Attempts to reach them for the state police spokesperson, DSP Yazid Abubakar, were unsuccessful as he did not respond to repeated calls. Armed men suspected to be herdsmen have killed 2 people while coming back from Jato Aka market at Gwandi local government area of Benue State. The hoodlums also carted away the victims' money and goods during the attack. The youth leader of the ward, Igbawa Gandepun, said the attack occurred just a kilometer away from the army camp stationed at Government Secondary School, Anwasi. According to him, angry youths of the community in protest took the bodies of the victims to the military camp, alleging their failure to protect the victims. He added that the 2 victims, a housewife and a petty female trader, as well as a motorcycle rider, were ambushed and killed by herders. Troops under Operation Safe Haven have uncovered a plot by the Islamic State West Africa Province, ISWAP, to set up operational bases in Plateau and Bauchi states. 2 suspected members of the terror group were arrested during a sting operation on April 11th in Shandong, Plateau State. The suspects, aged 25, were allegedly operating under the guise of tailoring to help ISWAP expand into north-central Nigeria. Preliminary investigations revealed that the duo was tasked by an ISWAP commander to establish new cells in Plateau and Bauchi. In a separate operation, troops stormed a hideout in Mazat village, Barikinladi local government area in pursuit of a wanted criminal. While the suspect escaped, an AK-47 rifle, magazine, and other items were recovered. Additionally, troops from Sector 2 ambushed bandits along the Pinau-Bangalala Road in Wasi local government area, killing 1 bandit and injuring others. Meanwhile, in Miango district of Basa local government area, terrorists killed a man and his 2 sons in an early morning attack on Saturday, identified as Weyi Gebe, 56, and his sons Zu, 25, and Henry, 16. Still talking security matters, the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, has strongly condemned the recent killings in Plateau State, particularly the April 4th attacks in Bokos and Mangu local government areas that claimed numerous lives. CAN President Archbishop Daniel Oko described the violence as a grave threat to national unity and human dignity. He called on security agencies to swiftly apprehend the perpetrators and urged all levels of government to intensify efforts to protect communities and prevent further bloodshed. The Kano State government has rejected the ECOWAS Court of Justice ruling that declared its blasphemy laws inconsistent with international human rights standards. The court, in its April 9th judgment, directed the Nigerian government to amend or repeal the laws, citing violations of the right to freedom of expression under regional and international frameworks. In response, the state government reaffirmed its commitment to upholding laws that protect religious values and public order, stressing that its legal framework operates within the bounds of Nigeria's constitution. It argued that the Sharia Penal Code was enacted under constitutional authority and reflects the state's socio-religious context within Nigeria's federal system. Kano authorities emphasized that freedom of expression is not absolute and can be restricted under both domestic and international law to safeguard public morality and religious sensibilities. They also questioned the enforceability of the ECOWAS judgment, citing the requirement for domestication of international treaties before they can be binding in Nigeria. While defending its legal stance, the government said it is taking measures to prevent abuse, including legal scrutiny of blasphemy cases and promotion of interfaith dialogue to ensure due process and discourage mob actions. We now have Barrister Abba Hikima to provide us with some analysis. Good evening, Barrister, and thanks for joining us. Barrister Hikima, if you can hear me, can you please unmute your audio? Right, Hikima, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Very well.
Good evening and welcome to News Hour.
Good evening. Thank you.
All right, so what can you tell us about how unprecedented this development is, and how does it work regarding jurisdiction?
Well, it is really not unprecedented. We've had cases and instances where regional courts, have overturned domestic laws and have tried to render them inconsistent with certain international values. So the ECOWAS court's ruling is not really unprecedented. There are so many instances where such kind of courts have declared certain laws as incompatible with international standards. However, the court, in my opinion, has not considered the several factors in its judgment. For example, the emotional factors, the philosophical, theological, cultural values of the people in passing, its own decision. Domestic laws are not just passed, for the fun of it. They are passed to ensure that they cure a certain defect in the society. Mm-hmm. In northern Nigeria, and especially in Muslim-dominated states, blasphemy against the person of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is seen as a very serious offense, is seen as sacrilegious offense. It is a no-go area for a lot of Muslims, and a lot of Muslims are ready to sacrifice their lives just to protect the image of the Prophet of Islam. So it is not, the Prophet of Islam is not just a historical figure in Islam. He is the embodiment of divinity and religiosity, as you can say. So a lot of non-Muslims may not really understand this. So, but even in Nigeria, the Supreme Court in 2007, in the case of Shala versus the state, has cleared that the position of the law in Sharia is that any sane adult Muslim who defames or utters any word which is capable of bringing disrepute or odium or contempt to the person of the Prophet of Islam, peace be upon him, such person has committed a serious crime punishable with death. This is the law in Islam, and people in Nigeria Nigerians and especially Kano indigents are entitled to practice their religion. So this is the law in Islam. I understand that a lot of non-Muslims may not understand this because of perhaps the intensity of the punishment. But like I told you, if the emotional and the social implication of blasphemy is looked at, and of course the ripple effect of blasphemy, you could see that really, like Kano State rightly maintained, blasphemy laws in Kano State, especially under the Sharia Penal Code law, is very much constitutional. It is made pursuant to the powers of the Kano State House of Assembly to make laws for punishment of any crime, and crime and criminality is a concurrent legislative list under the Constitution. So, in fact, this punishment, although it is inclined or compatible with Sharia, this punishment is not actually a Sharia-based punishment. It is a punishment contemplated and stipulated by the Kano State House of Assembly in the relevant Sharia Penal Code laws that we have.
Okay, so is there a conflict here regarding Nigeria's membership of ECOWAS and the constitutional rights of Kano as a state to enact such laws?
I actually don't even want to believe that there is any conflict, because if you look at even the classical jurist, classical liberal jurist as you have it, for example, the John Stuart Mill is a classical philosopher and thinker. He's also of the opinion that yes, the right to freedom of expression is there, but it has limits. It has never been absolute anywhere. For example, and even in contemporary world, in modern democracies, for example, you have the right to freedom of expression, but you will be committing a crime, for example, in several Western countries for example, to deny the Holocaust. Holocaust denial is a crime. Racial hatred and a lot of other examples that I can give you right now are actually criminal offenses even in Western democracies. So yes, the right to freedom of expression is there. It has been contemplated by, for example, the Twin Covenant, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. But in all of these laws, there are reservations, there are limitations and provisos saying that, yes, you have the right to express yourself, but that right is not absolute. And that is why we have the saying that your right ends where my nose begins. You have the right to stretch your hand, but you can't stretch your hand to touch my nose. So much as a lot of non-Muslims may not understand, I'm speaking now as a lawyer and as a Muslim. You understand what I mean? I understand that it is a grave punishment. The punishment is really very big and huge. It's grave. That is the most. That is the deadliest punishment you can ever give any attribute to any crime. But looking at the sensitivities of the Muslims, and like I told you, a great deal of Muslims would be ready to sacrifice their lives to protect the name of the Prophet. So if this is the emotional sensitivities of the Muslims, then it's justified. And mark you, the punishment, the death punishment is not for non-Muslims. Even in Kanu now, I'm looking at from the Islamic perspective now. In Kanu, it is a crime to defame or to utter any word that is contemptuous to any religion, not just Islam. And under the penal code, it is not death penalty. But under the Sharia penal code law, which is only applicable to Muslims, the punishment is death, and it has been affirmed by the Supreme Court of Nigeria, by the CJN of Nigeria. So let's not confuse the two. But I would like to add that the punishment does not lie in the hands of individuals. It takes the court and the authorities to actually confirm whether and to investigate whether those words have been uttered and whether the punishment for blasphemy actually, or whether blasphemy has been committed and whether the punishment should actually be meted out.
Thank you so much, Barrister Abba Hikima, for joining us and for your great analysis.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to more stories, the Edo State Police Command has debunked social media reports claiming that 4 armed herdsmen were arrested in the state, clarifying that the individuals in question were hunters from Kano. In a statement issued by the police spokesperson, Moses Joe Yamu, the suspects were identified as Yusuf Abdul Karim, Mujahid Garba, Shitu Idris, and Jamilu Habibu. The men were intercepted by operatives of the Edo Security Network and handed over to officers at the Ipoba Hill Division. Items recovered from them included 3 Dane guns, cutlasses, cartridges, and daggers. Investigations revealed that the men had traveled from Dogowa in Kano State to the Uvbe community in Edo's local government area for hunting purposes. The police noted that the suspects were not arrested at a hotel as widely speculated online. The command emphasized that they were not armed herdsmen and had no intent to commit violence. The clarification follows viral claims that the men posed a security threat. Commissioner of Police Monday Agbonika urged the public to verify information before sharing, warning that misinformation could trigger unnecessary panic and tension. The Nigerian Correctional Service in Gombe State has denied allegations that it blocked members of the Take It Back movement from visiting their remanded coordinator, Thomas Umar. Umar, 32, was remanded on April 10th at the Gombe Medium Security Custodial Center over charges filed under the Cybercrime Act. In a statement, the service clarified that visitation was based on Umar's written request to restrict access to only a few authorized individuals, and anyone not listed required his consent. The service described the report as false and urged the public to disregard it, affirming its commitment to upholding inmate rights. The presidency has dismissed concerns over a U.S. court order directing law enforcement agencies to release confidential files related to President Bola Tinubu, saying the reports contain nothing incriminating. Bayo Onanuga, special advisor to the president on information and strategy, said the documents being sought, including reports by FBI agents, MOSS, and the U.S. Drug Law Enforcement Administration, have been in the public domain for over 3 decades and do not indict a Nigerian leader. A U.S. District Court in Washington, D.C. recently ordered the FBI and the DEA to release files on Tinubu, sparking fresh public interest in decades-old case. President Bola Tinubu has instructed relevant education regulatory bodies to intensify efforts in tackling illegal tertiary institutions across Nigeria. Speaking at the 14th convocation of the National Open University of Nigeria (NOUN), he directed the National Universities Commission, the National Board for Technical Education, and other agencies to take firm action against what he termed certificate millers, damaging the credibility of the education sector. Tinubu, represented by Rekia Ilyasu, Director of University Education, and the Federal Ministry of Education, emphasized the need to protect the integrity of Nigeria's academic system. At the convocation, 51 inmates from correctional centers across the country graduated from the National Open University, including 41 undergraduates and 10 postgraduates. A ceremony also saw honorary degrees conferred on Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, President of the African Development Bank, and Speaker Abbas Tajuddin. The President also urged National Open University to take the lead in Nigeria's shift toward a digitally skilled economy, pushing for a more robust embrace of online learning through its open and distant learning model. The presidency has issued a stern warning to individuals and groups promoting President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Vice President Kashim Shettima for the 2027 elections through unauthorized billboards describing the move as illegal and premature. In a statement released on Sunday on the X platform, Presidential Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, said the administration is disappointed by the emergence of campaign materials in cities like Abuja and Kano, some of which also feature First Lady Senator Oluwemi Tinubu. While acknowledging the support from loyalists, the presidency stressed that neither Tinubu nor Shettima has approved or endorsed any 2027 campaign activities, whether via traditional or digital platforms. It warned that such actions violate electoral laws and must stop immediately. The government cautioned that continued disregard for the law may attract sanctions, affirming its commitment to due process and the integrity of Nigeria's democratic system. A district head of Leme, Ali Yakubu, has said that the continued patronage of traditional events in African societies is a powerful affirmation of culture as a people's identity. He made the remarks during the 2025 edition of the annual cultural festival known as Hawa Mamman Kusu, held at the Government Day Secondary School, Gumau, in Turu local government area of Bauchi State. Trust TV's Adame Imam reports.
A wave of vibrant colors, rhythmic drum beats, and joyful cheers filled the air in Leme district as dignitaries, guests, and cultural enthusiasts gathered to witness one of Bauchi State's cherished traditional festivals, Hawan Mamman Kusu. The 2025 edition saw an impressive turnout of cultural groups and performance across Toro local government area, transforming the annual festival into a spectacular showcase of tradition, heritage, and unity. The event began with the customary Durbar procession, where community ward leaders and village heads rode in on horseback, greeted by jubilant crowds, waving and dancing to traditional music. Honestly, we are excited with this annual colorful cultural display. It is a memorable occasion, and we thank God and we pray that the gathering will witness a huge success at the end. As tradition demands, the procession moved from the venue to the district head's palace, where all participating wards converge, marking the climax of the Hawan Mamman Kusu celebration. In his closing remarks, the district head of Lame, Alhaji Aliyu Yakubu, thanked all those who joined in the celebration. He emphasized that cultural events like this are not only moments of joy, but also serve as a deeper purpose of preserving identity, building unity, and fostering peace in communities. The Sarkinyak in Bauchi also offered prayers for peace and progress in Bauchi State and Nigeria at large, noting that culture remains a powerful tool for social cohesion and nation building. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
This is News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up ahead. Lagos residents abandon online platforms, turn to traditional media. This and many more when we return. Do stay with us. Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, this is News Hour on Trust TV. Let's take a look at our top stories again. Kaduna residents protest takeover of ancestral land. And bandits set mosque ablaze in Zamfara reprisal attack. Moving on to more stories, a tanker explosion in Ibadan over the weekend destroyed property worth millions of naira, leaving traders and business owners in distress. The incident occurred around 2:45 p.m. near Leeds City University and the toll gate end of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. One of the affected shops, which housed computer sets worth millions, was completely destroyed. Additionally, several cars and motorcycles parked along the road were consumed by the fire. A source revealed that the driver and his assistant narrowly escaped the explosion. Emergency responders from the Oyo State Fire Service, with support from the Federal Fire Service, quickly arrived to contain the blaze. One shop owner who wished to remain anonymous recounted hearing a loud bang, initially mistaking it for a gunshot. A fatal road accident involving two DAF trucks on Sunday in Magama Gumau, Bauchi State, has claimed the life of 23-year-old Usman Magaji and left two others injured. Reports gathered that the crash occurred when a truck loaded with sand and carrying 4 occupants collided with a stationary truck that had broken down along the road. The impact triggered a fire that engulfed both vehicles. Police operatives from the Magama Gumau Divisional Headquarters, in collaboration with other security agencies, responded swiftly to the scene, extinguished the blaze, and rescued the victims. The Bauchi State Police Public Relations Officer, CSP Ahmed Mohammed Wakil, confirmed the incident, noting that the injured were taken to Turu General Hospital for treatment, where Usman Magaji was later pronounced dead by a medical doctor. The Commissioner of Police, Bauchi State Command, CP Sani Omolori Aliyu, has extended his condolences to the bereaved families. He also reminded motorists of the need to adhere strictly to traffic regulations, emphasizing the importance of placing reflective warning triangles at least 45 meters behind any broken down vehicle to prevent such tragedies. Meanwhile, the Command Central Motor Traffic Department (MTD) has been directed to launch a discreet investigation into the incident. The police in Aba have arrested 2 individuals, Indubisi Ekoronko and Innocent Mbam, for allegedly vandalizing the defunct Aba textile mills in the Eziama Industrial Estate. The suspects were reportedly caught in the act of dismantling iron rods from the roofing structures of the buildings at the facility. The arrest followed a tip-off from local security operatives who alerted government officials and the Rapid Response Squad (RRS) to the incident. During questioning, the suspects claimed they were hired by one of the facility's managers to carry out the operation. Some local business owners have raised concerns, alleging that the theft of iron rods has been an ongoing issue at the site. The Abia State Police Public Relations Officer DSP Maureen Chinaka acknowledged the inquiry but had not provided further details at the time of the report. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) has destroyed approximately 1.6 million kilograms of confiscated illicit drugs seized from across Lagos, Ogun, and Oyo states. Speaking at the destruction site in Ipara, Ogun State, along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, the NDLEA chairman, Brigadier General Muhammad Buba Marwa, retired, represented by the Director of Asset and Financial Investigation, Ibrahim Abdul, described the event as the agency's largest single-day destruction of narcotics in history. The report.
The massive haul came from NDLEA's operational zones 9 and 11, which cover key areas including Lagos, Ogun, Oyo, Muritala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos Seaports, and the Idi-Iroko and Seme borders.
The sheer volume of seizures, which totals approximately 1.6 million kilograms, serves as a reminder of the great danger these substances pose to public health until they are completely and irreversibly destroyed.
In Oyo, we picked from within town, we picked up from the checkpoints. Lagos, the same thing. Then we added the ones from Seme, the ones from Tinkan, Apapa, Idi-Iroko. Those ones are more of the border areas.
The agency confirmed the destruction followed court authorization and thorough laboratory testing to verify the identity and quality of the seized substances.
This fight cannot be won by government alone. It requires the vigilance, unity, and courage of every citizen.
Among the incriminated items were 123 kilograms of cocaine, more than 46 kilograms of heroin, and over 1 million kilograms of cannabis, also known as Indian, along with other illegal substances.
For the traffickers, it's monetary motivation. But for the users, there are various reasons why people get indulged in drug abuse. It's not a solution to any problem, actually. People should know. But then, social problems could also be a factor.
This operation reinforces the agency's commitment to eradicating drug trafficking and curbing substance abuse across Nigeria.
We move to Gombe State, where an emerging youth culture is drawing both attention and concern. Teenagers, often in large groups, are forming convoys and riding bicycles recklessly across the city, disregarding traffic rules, endangering themselves and others, sparking urgent calls from parents and community leaders for intervention. Hassan Koli has more.
In the heart of Gombe metropolis, a new street culture is taking root. Teenagers, armed with bicycles and sense of freedom, race through traffic in coordinated convoys, swerving between vehicles, blocking roads, and showing little regard for safety. What began as a form of youthful expression is now being seen by many residents as a dangerous trend that threatens life and public order, particularly on weekends and after school hours. They ride in clusters, take over roads, and often intimidate motorists and pedestrians. One wrong move, and it could end in tragedy. Parents need to wake up before this spirals out of control.
I feel bad whenever I see teenagers or underage children do reckless driving in their bicycles, because sometimes they are causing accidents. In fact, sometimes you will find some children dying as a result of that reckless driving. The whole thing is for the parents to guide their children about the consequences of that reckless driving, because some of the children, the vehicles or the bicycle is not belong to them.
Residents like Musa say the time has come for proactive steps from parents, community leaders, and local authorities. Public awareness campaigns, stricter parental guidance, and monitoring are being suggested to curb what many now call bicycle banditry. Experts argue that while bicycles are typically viewed as harmless, when ridden recklessly, especially in swamps, they pose real dangers in a city growing as fast as Gombe.
haɗuwan yara su rika guje-guje a cikin gari da kekuna, wannan yana daga cikin abubuwa da suke musulunci bai yarda da su ba.
It is un-Islamic to endanger yourself or others. These boys are not just riding, they are creating a scene, daring danger and often provoking drivers. The community must come together, parents, police, religious leaders, to correct this before someone pays the price. This isn't just about bicycles, it's about an unchecked counterculture growing in plain sight, one that celebrates thrill over responsibility and visibility over safety. As Gombe evolves, the streets must remain safe for everyone. That will require more than concern. It demands collective action. Hassan Koli, Trust TV News, Gombe.
With the advancement of new technology and the widespread use of smartphones, thousands of Nigerians now turn to streaming platforms to access information, disrupting traditional media. Residents of Lagos share their perspectives on the use of streaming service and other digital platforms. Victoria Tokolo brings us more in this report.
The high cost of internet services is causing some residents of Lagos reverting back to old traditional cable network of accessing information, which they considered more economical now compared to streaming platforms. According to them, both services are becoming more expensive than before due to inflationary pressure on goods and services across the country.
Those satellites, like DSTV now, the money they are using to pay in the month, that money is too much. Like me now, I don't get money like that to pay because no more work we did before they say work with you, but nowadays work will be scarce. If you finish work now to see another one, you go reach a month. So that is why I can't pay money for this DSTV because money to me itself they hard.
I subscribe to monthly payment from DSTV. I prefer that one. I don't like watching Netflix. I don't like watching any other local television. If I'm at home, I watch foreign television. I watch CNN. I watch football, and foreign football. So that's my own feel about that.
We are just appealing to the authority to know that the thing is too cost and the people also this time around is too high. If they can be able to bring it down, consider us, because we also know that the inflation in the country now is very, very high. Everybody wants to prefer that of streaming platform because on DSTV these days, whether you have time to watch your subscription or not, once the time comes up, it will expire. But that of streaming online is much better because within 5 seconds or thereabouts, you'll be able to watch what you want to watch, depending on your data. And that of online streaming is more cheaper than that of DSTV, on my own belief, because I believe within a short time, you'll be able to know what is going on around the world, what is happening within a short time. But on that of DSTV, you would like to go home and sit and watch television before you'll be able to know what is going on.
While many users now select platforms based on data charges, others have abandoned online platforms completely. Some residents say to gain and attract more consumers, streaming platforms and cable TV providers need to lower their cost service charges.
Now, in a bold step to boost food production and strengthen agricultural resilience, Governor Umar Namadi of Jigawa State has flagged off a large-scale dry season rice farming initiative under the state's Rice Value Chain Development Project. The ceremony held in Jura town of Aui local government area underscores the state's growing commitment to turning agriculture into a key driver of economic growth. The report.
Backed by the Jigawa State Ministry of Agriculture, the initiative is set to directly benefit 58,500 farmers enrolled in the state's digital farmers database. The program caters to farmers across all scales, smallhold, medium, and large, offering them subsidized agricultural inputs to enhance productivity. Under the subsidy scheme, small-scale farmers will enjoy a 30% discount on all inputs, while medium and large-scale farmers will receive 20% and 10% respectively. These inputs include fertilizers, pesticides, irrigation equipment, and other essential tools required for efficient dry season farming. Governor Namadi described the effort as a significant push to combat hunger, promote food sufficiency, and uplift rural livelihoods. The plan targets the cultivation of 500,000 hectares of rice during the dry season, and when combined with rainy season efforts, aims to cover a total of 1 million hectares annually, projected to yield about 3.6 million metric tons of rice. Jigawa currently leads the nation in rice production, having contributed over 25% of Nigeria's total output last year. The state is also making strategic investments to position itself as a leader in wheat production over the next 2 years.
Furthermore to this, we have strengthened our extension services by recruiting 1,435 new extension agents and 300 animal health extension workers. We have committed to undertaking a number of institutional reforms aimed at strengthening both the demand and supply side of agricultural service delivery to our teeming farmers. In particular, this includes the following. 1. The incorporation of the Jigawa State Farm Mechanization Service Company to be run based on a viable commercial model for sustainable access to modern farming equipment.
In addition to the subsidized inputs, the initiative includes capacity building programs for farmers, extension officers, and cooperative leaders. This training will focus on adopting modern farming techniques and leveraging new technologies to increase output and reduce post-harvest losses. Governor Namadi praised the resilience and cooperation of farmers across the state and reaffirmed his administration's commitment to making agriculture the backbone of Jigawa's economy.
Related to one of the two activities planned for today, the flag of the 2025 dry season farming rice production program involving input distribution, I am also delighted to mention that we have over last 20 months undertaken similar programs. For instance, we have distributed over 6,000 metric tons of subsidized fertilizer, thereby reaching thousands of farming families. Similarly, we have massively and timely distributed high-quality foundation seeds for rice, wheat, and other crops. We have procured and distributed motorized and solar-powered irrigation pumps.
He called on all stakeholders to take full ownership of the project, emphasizing the importance of transparency, accountability, and sustained effort to ensure long-term success and food security for the people of Jigawa.
You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. More news after the break. Many thanks for staying with us. And now on the foreign scene, Gabon's transitional leader, Brice Oligui Nguema, has secured a decisive victory in the country's presidential election, according to provisional results released Sunday by the Interior Ministry. With 90.35% of ballots counted, Oligui garnered the overwhelming majority of votes. His closest challenger, Alien Claude Billy, trailed far behind with just 3.02%, while the remaining 6 candidates each received less than 1%. The election, which marked Gabon's return to civilian rule, recorded a voter turnout of 70.4%, the ministry said. Tanzania's main opposition party, Chadema, has been disqualified from participating in the country's upcoming general elections slated for October. The Electoral Commission says the party failed to sign a mandatory code of conduct document before the deadline. Ramadani Kailima, director of the Independent National Elections Commission, confirmed the disqualification, which comes amid growing concerns over the shrinking space for political opposition in the country. A development follows the treason charge against Chadema leader Tundu Lissu, who was arrested after addressing a rally calling for electoral reforms. Prosecutors accused Lissu of inciting rebellion to disrupt the vote, a charge that carries the death penalty under Tanzanian law. He has not been allowed to enter a plea. Chadema has long criticized the electoral process as biased in favor of the ruling party, CCM, in power since independence in 1961. The party had earlier threatened to boycott the elections unless key reforms, including the establishment of an independent electoral body, were implemented. Dozens of displaced Sudanese fled to Tawila town in North Darfur on Saturday following deadly attacks by the Rapid Support Forces (RSF) and allied militias. The assault, which began Friday, targeted the overcrowded Zamzam and Abu Shuk camps, as well as El Fashar, the provincial capital still held by the military. More than 100 people were killed, including 20 children and 9 aid workers, according to a UN official. The two camps, home to over 700,000 people displaced by years of conflict, were attacked again on Saturday, deepening fears among residents. A local group, the General Coordination for Displaced Persons and Refugees, said approximately 2,400 people fled in panic. Videos shared online showed families carrying what little they could as they escaped the violence. The offensive comes amid warnings of worsening famine. Zamzam and Abu Shuk are among 5 areas in Sudan where famine has been formally identified by the IPC Hunger Monitoring Group. The UN has declared Sudan the world's largest humanitarian crisis, with nearly 25 million people, half the country's population, facing acute food insecurity. Though the military recently regained parts of Khartoum, the RSF continues to dominate much of Darfur and other regions. As the civil war enters its third year, the humanitarian situation in Sudan deteriorates rapidly, leaving civilians increasingly trapped between hunger and violence. An Israeli airstrike has destroyed key parts of Al-Ali Baptist Hospital, the last fully functional hospital in Gaza City, reducing its intensive care and surgery units to rubble. Eyewitnesses and footage from the scene showed massive flames and panicked evacuations, with some patients fleeing while still in their beds. The Episcopal Diocese of Jerusalem, affiliated with the hospital, confirmed one child died due to the chaos of rushed evacuation. The Israel Defense Forces (IDF) claimed the strike targeted a Hamas command and control center within the hospital. While no immediate casualties were reported by Gaza's Civil Emergency Service, the attack has sparked outrage and renewed calls for the protection of medical facilities. Al-Ali had become a vital lifeline after the destruction of Al-Shifa and other hospitals in the north. Now, its ruin has left Gaza City virtually without functional health care amid ongoing hostilities. The strike has been widely condemned by Palestinian authorities and human rights advocates. The Hamas-run health ministry said the attack amounted to forced displacement of patients and medical teams. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro says he and his family were forced to evacuate their official residence after a suspected arson attack set part of the home ablaze. Democratic governor, often mentioned as a future White House contender, said he was awakened in the night by authorities pounding on the door as the fire spread. No one was injured. The incident occurred shortly after Shapiro and his family celebrated the first night of Passover at the 29,000 square feet Georgian-style mansion in Harrisburg. State authorities confirmed the fire, which caused significant damage to parts of the residence, saying it was intentionally set. However, no arrests had been made. Police said the family was in a different section of the house when the fire broke out. Firefighters worked to contain the blaze while officers helped evacuate the governor, his wife Laurie, and their 4 children, Sophia, Juna, Max, and Ruben. A $10,000 reward has been offered for information leading to an arrest. Shapiro, who has served as governor since 2023 after a tenure as Attorney General, was once considered a potential running mate for Kamala Harris during her 2024 presidential bid. The 39th edition of African Women Volleyball Club Championship has ended in Abuja. Trust TV's Adeni Ajishefe reports.
The Indoor Sports Hall of Nkwabela Stadium filled with sports enthusiasts on ground to catch a glimpse of the final that had 16 clubs in the volleyball tourney before it became all Egyptian finals. A thrilling and entertaining finals at the Egyptian nighttime champion Al Ahly in red takes on home and continental rival and back-to-back defending champion Zamalek in white takes the start stage with both teams scoring up side by side in the first set in a very tough game with both teams showing strength and skills, ending in 29-27 in favor of Zamalek. The two unbeaten Egyptian teams were at their best to vie as champion of Africa, vying for a win in the second set. Zamalek took early lead before Al Ahly leveled up and showed grit to win 25-22. The third set 25-20 in favor of Zamalek over Al Ahly to pull the top final to fourth set. Zamalek and Al Ahly women volleyball of Egypt made solid statement from the set go in the fourth set, displayed resilience, skills as both wild the fans with more display. Zamalek hold it down to win 25-22, throwing the arena into frenzy after securing the trophy for the third time win in a row. Zamalek Women Volleyball Club celebrate with much ecstasy to rule Africa again. The grand patron of AWVCC, Senator Tinubu, while closing the event, commended the teams while believing Africa can conquer the world in sport.
To every team that competed, I celebrate you all. You have honored us with your participation and inspired us with your performance. As you return to your respective clubs and countries, remember that you carry the honor of your nation as well as the admiration of Nigeria. As a woman who has traversed my own journey through various competitions and challenges, I see in each of you the strength and resilience that defines the African women. Please keep it up.
Spectator Uche Chidima feels great watching the volleyball finals in Abuja.
This is a one-time experience, at least as a Nigerian that is hosting the cup. I want to say this is nice. My reaction, this is breathtaking. I mean, it's a lot of emotions.
Deputy Egyptian Ambassador appreciate Nigeria for successful hosting of Women Volleyball Club Championship.
I'm very happy that it ended with two of the Egyptian teams, Al Ahly and Zamalek. And for the third time here, we are having Zamalek as a champion of the championship for the volleyball for women on the third round. They were marvelous, both teams. They were competing and they well represented us for the Egyptian women. So, thank you, Nigeria.
The Controller General of Customs could not hold this joy for a memorable ending of the sporting event.
I'm so fulfilled. It's been 2 weeks and we gave it all. We gave everything that we had. So we must very express our gratitude to our Excellency the First Lady, the Grand Patron. She has set a very good record for us. And already CABP, they are already thinking of making her the Grand Patron of future games, not just for these games. And you can see how she has mobilized women and increased the visibility and the popularity of the sports. The technical committee, they also did very well. So when we started this journey, we had two objectives. We were playing as hosts, we finished ninth, but we were also the organizers, and we did extremely well. So in the whole, I think it is volleyball that has won today. Not customs, not Zamalek, not anything.
The 2025 African Women's Volleyball Inter-Club Championship will go down in history as one of the best tournaments, considering the accolades and kudos from participating teams to the Nigerian Customs Service for solid organization and hospitality. That's Sport News. I'm Adeni Ajishefe.
And with that, we wrap up News Hour on Trust TV. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms for more programs, news, and documentaries. My name is Dorcas Yakubuzala. Good night.